What the hell happened to that mirror? We are going slow. What the hell, people? This is a little ridiculous. So while I'm stuck behind these people going a lot slower than the speed limit, I'll tell you about my first bike. As you can tell from the title, the first bike I had that I was riding was a Buell Blast. Little single cylinder, 500cc. The thing was pretty small. It didn't weigh too much. It was very easy to move around. It wasn't very tall either, so you could easily flat foot it. The bike wasn't a bad bike. It didn't have very many miles on it. It was a 2003, and I only paid $1,000 for it. And so that would be the biggest benefit, I'd say, to that Buell. At least that one. I don't know. Other ones might be about the same cost, or maybe $1,500, something like that. So it was a very reasonably priced motorcycle. If you're a new rider, my philosophy is that you get a motorcycle that you're not afraid to drop. If you drop it, it's not going to be like this, you know, incredibly expensive thing to fix. That's even if you fix it. And my Buell was that. It served me for about a year. I rode it while I was on my permit before I took the DMV course, which I talk about a little bit in a different video. And I also rode it after I got my license. And I rode it for, I want to say, like 1 summer or so, before I bought this bike at least. The bike was pretty good to me. I had a few issues with it though, and there's a few negatives and a few positives that I'd like to go over and tell you about my first bike. First, I'm gonna go over the positives. The biggest positive I think that bike has, other than how cheap of a bike it is its miles per gallon. The bike is really good on gas mileage. I could pretty much hammer on it as much as it could handle, and it would still be giving me pretty much reliably 70 miles per gallon. I know there are other bikes that give more miles per gallon, but that was pretty good, especially for the cost of the bike. It was very easy to maneuver, to flick around, and that's really great as a beginner too, because you can, you know, whip it around without feeling like you're gonna mess something up. So it was a great beginner bike, but there were some negatives about it as well. One of the negatives being for the seat. The seat is the most uncomfortable thing you could possibly be on. I haven't sat on a different motorcycle that has a worse seat. I feel like a dirt bike probably would be better. But this bike, with how the seat was shaped, it was kind of rounded towards the top, and it kind of left these pressure points on your thighs. It wasn't like as flat, so it wasn't even pressure along it. So it didn't really work that well in terms of comfort. And another comfort side was, I don't know if it was just my Buell, but it would shake terribly. Like the handlebars were
this piston-like motion.
Just so much vibrations. Your hands would get numb, your arms would get numb just from the vibrations on a longer ride, if you could tolerate a longer ride on that seat. And the vibrations would also reach your butt and give you a numb ass. So that wasn't that fun for longer rides, but the miles per gallon was nice for longer rides. You could be riding with other people and they're all having to fill up and you're like, nope, I'm good. But the comfort was a big issue for me. Another negative that my bike had, and I'm not saying this about every Buell. Not every Buell is like mine was. But mine specifically, the throttle was extremely touchy. It was pretty much like all or nothing. So you'd give it a little bit of gas and the whole thing would feel like it's just launching. So that was annoying. The other annoyance that goes hand in hand with the throttle is the clutch. The clutch lever, that was also like all or nothing. You'd release it, you'd be barely before it would catch, and then release it slightly more, and it would stall. Especially as a beginner rider, when you're not used to using the throttle and the clutch, it was difficult. But I will say, one of the good things that came out of that, out of having a bike that's so temperamental in terms of clutch and throttle, is that now, and since when I've hopped on a motorcycle, the clutch just feels so easy. Clutch and throttle just feels so easy. All those negatives that my Buell had were well within the tolerations of a new rider. It was well worth having that bike for $1,000 to begin with. Overall, it was a really good starting bike, and if anybody's looking to get a starting bike, I'd say take a look at the Buell Blast. And you pull out right in front of me, bud. Curb. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the next one.